Hello all, and welcome to the Panorama Consulting Group ERP Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're highlighting IFS application, the IFS ERP system. My name is Chris DeVault, and I am Director of Industry Relations and Manager of Software Selection here at Panorama Consulting Group. Today we have Anthony with us from IFS. Anthony, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hello everybody, my name's Anthony Bourne, as you can see, and I'm the Industry President at IFS.
Again, thanks for everybody for joining us today. We have a nice offer of our free consulting for the first handful of respondents that respond to today's webinar. So please take advantage of that. And a brief overview of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a look at some recent trends from both Panorama and the IFS side. We'll also have a brief overview of the IFS ERP application from the standpoint of a different point of view from a manufacturer within an organization. Quick little bit about Panorama before we get going today. On the left-hand side, you can see Panorama's lines of service, full management consultant offerings. And in the middle here, you can see the industries that we focus on, manufacturing and distribution being some of the top. We also work with nonprofit, government, public sector entities, and retail, energy, and agriculture as well. On the right-hand side, a little bit about our people. We're always encouraged to continue education and get certifications. We've got some really good, smart people on our team. This is a quick snapshot of who we work with at Panorama. We have a global reach and we work in many different industries, including manufacturing. We work with all different size companies from startup with no revenue to $20 billion plus enterprises. Get great exposure to all sorts of different types of projects. This is a quick snapshot of some of the vendors that we work with. Our projects include numerous ERP vendors from tier 1 providers, tier 2 providers, and niche applications such as supply chain management and workforce automation. The intent today is to provide some exposure to what we're seeing in the industry, manufacturing. Also do some discovery about IFS, what they are seeing as recent trends, and then get a look at the product as well. We're going to jump into a few things that Panorama has seen, and then IFS is also going to highlight many of the recent trends that they've seen, which will be overlapping. Some of the recent trends that we're seeing in our manufacturing organizations are organizations that are using secure portals and blockchain for forecasting, collaboration, and procurement. So really digitizing their supply chains. Using artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, we're seeing more practical usage on the shop floor and within production facilities in combination with workflow automation and business intelligence tools. We also see a large focus on the customer experience. So our customers are focused on their customer experience, and then within these ERP systems and within organizations, everybody's got internal customers as well. So upstream and downstream of processes is very important to understand, and how an organization really relies on data to make critical decisions. We're seeing an increase in business to business and business to consumer, a combination of both business to consumer. The omni-channels and e-commerce applications, these are becoming higher priorities, higher ranking initiatives within organizations. And then finally, best practices and standardization. We are certainly seeing more companies adopt to best practices and out-of-the-box standardized practices from their ERP systems where appropriate. And this also helps reduce risk and cost duration of ERP implementations. Of course, change management is also critical throughout the success. Now I'll turn it over to Anthony from IFS.
Thank you for that, Chris, and welcome to this section on the IFS applications. As mentioned, my name's Anthony, and I'll be covering really what IFS, the company, is, and then following on from what Chris said, what we see are some of the trends within the industry and how we support those actual trends. So first, who are IFS? Well, we're a global company with over 65 offices worldwide, as you can see. And I think in addition to having a leading manufacturing product that's both liked by customers and analysts, we like to think that our way of working has brought us here. And we've had really good growth over the last few years, and most recently a 25% increase year on year from 2018. Just as Chris did as well, to give you some indication of some of the customers that we work with, you might recognize some of the logos here. Just to mention a couple, we work with NEC out in Japan, where they both just use IFS in one of their manufacturing plants, in a number actually. And in addition to that, they're a partner of ours. So they actually partner with us to resell and implement our solution in the market. But as you can see, we've got a strong group of customers with John Deere making complex machinery. You've got Saab in the defense manufacturing area, as well as like BMW in automotive, where they make some of the panels there as well. So a good breadth of different customers. So then when we start looking at the market demands, we see a lot of customers and a lot of our customers being challenged these days by a number of different outside influences, and that could be whether it's to be with globalization, whether it's digitization, which is on the tongues and a lot of the websites you see a lot of these days, as well as increasing the product configuration. And what I mean by that is they're looking to see how they can really assemble or define the individualization of their product as late as possible. And I think what's key to that is to be able to have a solution that can provide different strategies in there. For example, it could be along the lines of you want to do a complete engineer to order for some of your products. The use of configure to order enables you to have a much simpler management of your portfolio to say, okay, is it based on color, power supplies, length, width, etc., as opposed to the more traditional make to order, assemble to order, make to stock, etc. And what you'll see, what we've noticed over the last few years, is an increasing number of manufacturers moving towards a more servitized model. And what I mean by servitized model is, instead of selling the product only, they are now selling the capability and charging based on the outcome of their products, which is a very different mindset. If you take the example of, if you're making washing machines, for example, you may be, as a manufacturer, focused on the price of that, and then you may have certain components within the bill of materials that you're trying to drive down the cost. But when you move to a more servitized model and say, okay, I'm selling the capability, you may actually increase the cost of a product because you want it to last longer. You don't want to have to go and visit it when it's out in the field. And that changes the KPIs that you may be measuring your workshop on. So again, but from an IFS point of view, we have industry experts, both within IFS as well as within our partner community, because we want to ensure that our customers are successful. I know that sounds obvious, but that is our mandate, and that's what we actually focus on, to ensure that they really get value from our solution today, and again, get them ready for the journey that they're actually on in the market there. So let's have a look at what the actual solution is. Well, the IFS solution for manufacturing covers the full end-to-end flow from the design and the CRM through to the sales and delivery. And within this single offering, you can actually manage these multiple modes of production strategy, as I said, from your traditional make to stock and make to order through to, configure to order and project manufacturing, which again is an increasing trend. People want to take that project mindset when they're actually going through the engineering and the product lifecycle management phase, as well as the production and possibly the service elements at the end of it as well. We support a fully integrated PLM process with CAD connectors, with compliance functionality. And that's key to have that integrated into your solution, because you don't want to fall foul of any issues later in the process. Our customer management support allows you to get everything from forecasts from multiple sources, as well as ensuring that you actually got a service team that have got full visibility of orders, delivery, and schedules, etc. And one of the areas I think is increasing is how we can use some of the technology that's available today, like, for example, artificial intelligence, in working on that forecast to get it even more accurate. Because if you can get your forecast even more accurate, it makes the actual output of your company even better. Within supply chain, you get the standard sales and operational planning, but also multi-site, multi-company control at all stages. And we include specific things like process manufacturing, like shelf life, which is actually absolutely critical, as well as, capacity management and supplier management, as well as eco footprint, so you can actually monitor and control and report on your energy usage, or it could be things like your recyclable packaging, etc. And as I mentioned, project management is something which companies are doing more of these days. So to have that again integrated, I think, is absolutely crucial to these days. And supporting all of this, we've got fully integrated financials, accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger, etc. Maintenance, because you'll have machines on the shop floor which will have downtime, unplanned and planned maintenance schedules. You need that integration so that you can actually see from a planning your shop floor activities when to do certain things on certain machines as well. We've got full complete control over the inventory and HR, and from the HR it could be both onboarding, or it could be down to the fact that you need to be certified or qualified to operate certain machines for certain products, and to be able to link that skills and competencies against employees, linking it to your products, ensures that you can actually plan more efficiently then. And then finally, just a couple more on quality management, and that's not just in-process control quality management. For example, it could be, checking tolerances on certain products. It could be, it goes outside that to look at audits and non-conformances and compliance and corrective actions. So it's a complete total quality management solution. And finally, document management. There's a lot of documents and specifications and pictures and drawings, etc., that are required at different stages in this end-to-end cycle. And to be able to have full revision controlled, security controlled module is crucial to manufacturers these days. So in essence, that's our solution for manufacturing. But the crucial thing is you don't have to take all of it. You can take certain bits of it and say, okay, I'll use these modules or those modules, and we can quite happily integrate into other applications if that is required as well. So where have we and where will we continue to invest? I think if you look at the first one, user experience mobility, I think to sum it up, user experience is critical these days. I think both from a viewpoint of attracting and training new employees to your company, through to making existing processes and future processes as efficient as possible. We want our users to love using the application. If they love using the application, they're going to be more efficient at using the application. And to be able to do that, that makes businesses better then. And it's also from a point of view of mobility. Our solution can be run on any device, on any operating system, in any mode. So what that gives our customers is flexibility and freedom to choose how they want to, or which devices they actually want to deploy our solution on. If you look at the functionality, we're always investing in functionality. In the latest release, we had over 500 functional enhancements to our solution. That's a big number, but it's critical that we continue to advance what functionality we've got as standard out of the box. One example shown on the screen there is demand-driven MRP, which, again, if you're not familiar, starts looking at where to position buffers in your bill of materials to reduce the bullwhip effect, etc. So if you're not familiar, go and Google it, and you can actually see what functionality we've got as standard. And this is areas which manufacturers are looking at on how to use to actually reduce their lead times within the business then. But that's just one example out of those over 500. There's lots more that we are continuing to do. And one avenue that we use is what we call advisory councils. Advisory councils are where we go and invite and talk to customers and get their input into the roadmap. And that is critical, again, from a solution focus. What we want is to ensure that we're developing and always enhancing our solution in line with what our customers need. And that's in parallel to looking at the market trends as well as the general industry trends to define and work out and plan the roadmap. And then lastly, if we look at digital transformation, I think there's a recent study done by Capgemini. While 76% of manufacturers have an ongoing smart factory or initiative or something like that, only 14% are actually satisfied with their level of success. And I think, from my point of view, manufacturers should not feel overwhelmed, and those embarking on this journey should not change too much or too soon without the proper counsel. I think not every great advancement is right for every manufacturing environment. And I think from an IFS point of view, we can help guide our customers to work what's best for them and what the implementation could look like. And we don't just go in and say, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. We make sure we'll understand how the current operation works, because the only correct approach is really a personalized one. And you have to ensure that you deploy the right technology really to enable to meet your goals. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of technology out there and a lot of planning by manufacturers, and you have to be conscious of the fact that, okay, why am I doing this and what benefit is it going to give me? So then if we look at 3 reasons why to choose IFS, well, firstly, as I mentioned already, we are customer centric. Manufacturers are always constantly told that the only thing constant is change. And whilst this is true, I often feel sorry for some of our for companies out there that are unable to take advantage of a cloud-enabled solution like ours. The ability for the manufacturers to go on this digital transformation journey, as I was just talking about, is one that I love to see. And when I meet them and listen to them, I always go away and feeling proud of what they've done, and will continue to do so. We have got some fantastic manufacturing customers, from ones that produce thousands of widgets to those that make huge ships and everything in between. And I think, having been involved in the manufacturing industry now for over 20 years, I'm always amazed at how our customers are always looking at how they can grow and get even more value really from our partnership. The same goes for our employees. With IFS being named a great place to work now for many years, and then last but not least, we want to ensure that our customers get true value from their investment, because it's not just critical for us, it's just critical for them as well. And having also the support from the analyst community like Panorama is fantastic, and really helps us reaffirm that our strategy and what we're doing and what we're executing on is actually working. So with that, let me give you a quick introduction or look in the day in the life of on the shop floor, a little look at the IFS applications. So firstly, what I'm looking at here is what calls the IFS lobby, and it's effectively a role-based starting page now for me to use. I've gone on as a shop floor person, so what I can see is various indicators about how many shop orders I've got open or how many are late to finish, what's some overviews, what's my lates to finish, what's my late to start, etc., and some summary charts as well. All of these lobbies are user definable, but we've got a whole host of them that you can take standard out of the box, covering the main roles in your business. But the key thing is users can adapt and configure and customize these to the way that they want. So for example, you may say, okay, there are 6 shop orders late to finish. So I can just click on those 6, and then it will take me into a screen showing me more details about those 6 shop orders that I've got. And I can hover on any of these and it will actually show me more details about what that part is, what operations it's going through. From a machine point of view, I can see some loading here from the different areas and the resources. And I've got also ability to see something from the capacity from a labor point of view as well. So it depends on what view you actually want from the system. And again, you can configure this as you want. But I may see that there's, in addition to our standard scheduling and planning capabilities, I may just want to highlight this one that should have been finished yesterday and move it and drag it and drop it into possibly the day after. Or I may say, I may want to move it a bit more. The key thing is, at all times, all of the information gets updated in the other forms as well. And in this case, it's actually warning me that shop order is late to finish, but that may be a decision that I've made due to other factors affecting it. But I don't have to do it that way. You can still see now that I've actually overloaded one of my areas here from a capacity point of view. So what I could do then is say, okay, I can actually just drag it and drop that particular element into the new one, and I may be happy that I can actually manage that overload then. And this comes down to your decisions on how you want to operate from a finite aspect or an infinite aspect as well. Both options are available. It's just a case of which cost labor work centers or machine work centers do you want to actually affect more. And then what I can do then is, if I then go back to the actual lobby that I was looking at before, it'll then update it, and now I've only got 1. There were 2 operations late to finish, I've just got 1. So again, it's always constantly telling me what I need to do and actually when I need to do it, which is one of the key things in there, which is really good. You don't have to operate it just to give you an indication at this level. You may take a planning level at the top and just say, I don't want to look on the shop floor, I want to look at high level and say, okay, from the requisitions, what's my labor capacity, what's my overview of my work centers, how many shop orders are late, etc. What's my MRP action messages? And any of these you can just click on, it'll bring it up, and then if you want to drill down on more details in there. Or you could just say, I want to look at my work centers, and just click on that element of it, and then it'll show all those details for you then, either by work center planning, or you could just do, I want to look at my labor elements as well, and just click on the labor class. Again, it's all responsive as to where you want to click, what it's going to show you. So here I'm just looking at labor classes, and I can drill down more and more as I see fit then. Once you're finished, or during the manufacturing, you may have the supervisor or somebody in charge wanting to look at manufacturing performance. So this may be actually their lobby for this element of it. So I can see percentages, some of my key performance indicators, what's happened, when it's happened, etc. And if I needed to, drill down any more. I've tended to concentrate on more from a manufacturing point of view due to the nature of this presentation. But what I want to show you is the fact that it's not just within this area. If I was talking before about quality, I may be concerned about or in charge of so many audits. There may be a certain manufacturing standard that I need to meet. It could be an automotive TS 16949 or an ISO standard. And here you can actually start putting that information into the system, so that once it's in the system, you can start monitoring it and recording it and executing on it here. So there could be a load of information about non-conformance reporting, how many audits you've got on there, or it could just be the fact there's in this case, a corrective or preventive action. So if I just click on that one, I can see an overview of it, and I may say, well, I want more detail about it. And I can just drill into actually more details on it. So I can see who's responsible, what the workflow process is, but I can also see there's some attachments down at the bottom. And in this case, there's somebody's taken a picture because there's some, in this case, issue with some packaging. So somebody's taken a photo on their mobile device, and that's automatically loaded into the system. There could be additional documents which have either been inherited or added to this corrective action. And there could be a series of change requests or change actions, or in this case, more workflow to sign off. So again, fully supporting electronic sign-offs, because people need to acknowledge what's been done when they're actually going to do it. Just for completeness, if you're more sales focused, you may start saying, okay, I just want to look at some of my sales history. And again, all of this information can be collected directly from IFS or brought in from other cubes or databases to actually show you visibility of the complete cycle, where you are and how you see it fit then. So that's, again, one of the key elements of having it. But really, that was just a quick look at what the solution can do and how it can actually perform for you then. So just to finish off on that point, I think the way IFS works is we class ourselves for the challengers of the industry. And I think if you want to be a challenger in manufacturing, then you really need to think differently, really, and refuse to fit into the normal way of doing business. You need to look at problems differently and find new ways to solve them, but you can't do it alone and need help. And that's where we can come into it. At IFS, we are different than other vendors, and that we've always offered choice to our customers. And because we really understand that a manufacturing solution is the lifeblood of your business, and we, again, want our customers to succeed at this, because if they succeed, then everybody's happy then. So with that, I'll hand it back now to you, Chris.
Great, thank you, Anthony, and appreciate the overview. And then just a reminder for our attendees today that there is an opportunity for an hour of free consulting once you reach out to Panorama Consulting via the website. Please encourage you to do that. And then we'll take some questions now as well. And Anthony, if you could touch on your U.S. market-based penetration, what does that look like?
Yeah, a good question. It's increased over the last few years. It's now our largest region. We've got hundreds of manufacturing customers, everything from discrete or automotive through to food and beverage and chemicals and everything in between. So lots of customers in those defined areas. And it's the reason we've got those defined industries is we've got specific functionality to address the needs of those companies in those sub-industries there.
Great, thanks. And the next one about cloud deployment. So you're available in the cloud. Any other options?
Well, yes, we do have other options. Whilst IFS is developed in the cloud, it can be deployed locally, because we want to give that choice. We don't come into companies and say, okay, it's the cloud or nothing at all, because not all companies are at that stage yet. The market is changing. I completely agree with that, but for various reasons, some companies say, okay, I want it on premise first, and I may do my backups in the cloud, but I know that my strategy is to move into the cloud in the end. So in summary, we give choice to our customers. It can be deployed on-premise, or it can be deployed in the cloud.
Good, thank you. And then could you also touch on your target market and, what does a typical IFS customer look like?
Yeah, our typical customer within the manufacturing industry would be over $250 million in revenue, but we're seeing that increase. The normal customer or average customer is a little bit larger than that now, but they could be within machinery manufacturing, or as mentioned before, in some process manufacturing like chemicals or paint and inks or automotive. But what our customers typically have are complex requirements, some requirements that not all software vendors can do. It could be the handling of the traceability or the yields from a process manufacturing point of view, or it could be the transferring of the manufacturing BOM into the service BOM for some of our service-minded manufacturers. But that's where we tend to give our customers a complete solution with fully integrated, as shown before, quality management, as opposed as opposed to having a third-party system in place. They could have something out of the box that's usable straight away. So it's quite varied, but we've got a good solution that can be really configured, not customized, not modified, but configured to suit the needs of today's manufacturers.
Yeah, good. Appreciate that. And then can you touch on the scalability as well there?
Yes, as mentioned, we got a lot of different customers of different sizes, and some of our customer sites have as few as 10 or 20 different users on those sites, because they may have grown by acquisition, and they may be, some of their sites may be growing quite quickly, so they need something to get them up and running that's a suitable solution for them to use for the long term then. But so we've got sites of as low as 10 or 20 users up to over 10,000 users, and that is on the same solution, the same footprint, the same functionality. We don't have a different solution to say, okay, if you're this size of customer, you have this IFS solution, and if you're large, you have a different solution. It is the same solution, so all companies of all sizes can all benefit.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you, Anthony. And with that, we'll bring to a conclusion our spotlight today, vendor spotlight on IFS. And again, thank you very much, Anthony, for your overview of the application and the trends. And we have up here Laura Florence. Laura is our Director of Business Development. She's a great asset at Panorama. She's been on the consulting side and now leads the sales team. So she's very valuable to the people that she speaks with. Her information is all here, and our website there as well. So please feel free to reach out to her at any time. And hopefully we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you very much, and appreciate you attending today's webcast.